Jessica Drew was back. London felt her presence. The city had missed her, and she had missed the city. The streets, the people, the energy, it was all a part of her. She had tried to live a normal life, but normal was never meant for her. The call of the city, the call of duty, was too strong to ignore. Stronger, faster, and more determined than ever. Jessica had spent months training, honing her skills, pushing her limits. She wasn't just back, she was better. Every muscle in her body was tuned for action, every sense heightened. She was ready for whatever the city threw at her. Being Spider-Woman was part of her, it was who she was. It wasn't just a costume or a mask, it was her identity. She had tried to walk away, to live a life without the web slinging and the danger, but it was impossible. The city needed her, and deep down she needed the city. No matter how hard she tried to leave it behind, the city needed her. The people needed her. Crime never slept, and neither could she. Every night, the city came alive with the sounds of life, and with it, the sounds of danger. She was the silent guardian, the watchful protector. And she needed the city. It was her home, her battleground, her sanctuary. The rooftops were her domain, the alleys her pathways. She knew every corner, every shadow. The city was a part of her, and she was a part of it. Together, they were unstoppable. The night was alive with the sounds of sirens and the rumble of traffic. The city never slept, and neither did she. Every sound, every movement was a potential threat, a call to action. She was always ready, always alert. The city was her responsibility, and she took it seriously. Jessica perched on a rooftop, her costume a shadow against the city lights. Her senses were sharp. Something felt wrong. She scanned the streets below, looking for any sign of trouble. Her instincts were rarely wrong, and tonight was no exception. She could feel the tension in the air, the sense of impending danger. A new danger lurked. She could feel it. It was a feeling she couldn't shake, a sense of unease that gnawed at her. She had faced countless threats before, but this one felt different. It was more personal, more targeted. She knew she had to be ready for anything. A shiver went down her spine. It was a warning, a signal that something was coming. She didn't know what it was, but she knew it was coming for her. She had to be prepared, had to stay vigilant. The city was counting on her, and she couldn't let it down. She wasn't sure what it was, but it felt personal. This wasn't just another baddie trying to take over. This felt different. It felt like it was aimed at her, like someone or something was targeting her specifically. She had to find out what it was and stop it before it was too late. This wasn't just another baddie trying to take over. This felt different. It was more sinister, more calculated. She had faced many enemies before, but this one felt different. It was a challenge, a test of her abilities. She had to be ready for anything. This felt like it was aimed at her, and she was ready. She had trained for this, prepared for this. She was stronger, faster, and more determined than ever. She was ready to face whatever came her way. The city needed her, and she was ready to protect it, no matter the cost. Reports of strange things started flooding the police radios. Things moved on their own. People saw things that weren't there. Whispers of a new kind of fear gas spread through the city. Jessica knew what she had to do. She swung through the city, a blur of movement. She arrived at the scene of the latest weird happening, a quiet bookshop. The air crackled with an unseen energy. Jessica could sense it, but she couldn't pinpoint it. Books flew off the shelves, swirling around her. Jessica dodged them easily, looking for the cause of the disturbance. Her spider sense tingled, warning her of danger. Suddenly, a figure appeared from the shadows, a nasty grin on his face. He was tall and thin with crazy eyes and bright green hair. Jessica knew him instantly. It was the Green Goblin back from the dead. Green Goblin. Well, well, well. Look who it is. Long time no see, Spider-Woman. Jessica felt a surge of anger. The Goblin had been a pain for years, a constant reminder of bad times. But this time it felt different. This time she was ready to face him. News of the Goblin's return spread quickly. Heroes and villains came out of hiding, drawn to the promise of trouble. Captain Britain, Jessica's old friend, arrived, ready to help, but so did someone else. Felicia Hardy, a well-known thief with a tricky past with Spider-Man, crept out of the shadows, her eyes shining. She was there for her own reasons, and Jessica knew she couldn't fully trust her. Captain Britain. This is getting out of control. We need to stop him before he hurts anyone. Part 5. The Web of Doubt. Jessica felt conflicted. She wanted to capture the Goblin, but something felt off. His powers seemed different, stronger, more evil. And what was Felicia Hardy up to? She went back to the rooftops, looking for comfort in the familiar city. Doubts filled her mind. Could she trust her gut feeling, or was she letting her past affect her judgment? She needed answers, but she didn't know where to look. She was alone, trapped in her own thoughts. Part 6. Unleashing the Fury. This is the moment we've all been waiting for, the climax of Jessica's journey. The stakes have never been higher, and the tension is palpable. As Jessica wrestled with her doubts, she couldn't shake the feeling of impending doom. The weight of the world seemed to rest on her shoulders, and the pressure was almost unbearable. She questioned her abilities, her decisions, and whether she was truly the hero the city needed. Meanwhile, the goblins' reign of terror got worse. Buildings crumbled, fires raged, and the once vibrant city was now a war zone. The goblin's malevolent laughter echoed through the streets, a constant reminder of his dominance. He spread fear and suspicion across the city, turning neighbors into enemies. People saw threats in every shadow, and trust was a rare commodity. The goblin thrived on this chaos, feeding off the fear and mistrust he had sown. Making people see things and turn on each other, he created an environment where no one felt safe. Friends became foes, and the city was on the brink of tearing itself apart. The goblin's psychological warfare was as devastating as his physical attacks. Jessica knew she had to act. She couldn't stand by and watch her city fall into ruin. Gathering her strength, she prepared for the battle ahead. She knew it wouldn't be easy, but she was determined to face the goblin and put an end to his tyranny. It was time to end this. With a steely resolve, she set out to confront the goblin. The final showdown was inevitable, and Jessica was ready to give it everything she had. She couldn't afford to fail. She faced the goblin in a final battle on top of the shard. The wind howled around them, and the city below seemed to hold its breath. This was the moment of truth, where heroes are made or broken. Lightning flashed, lighting up the fight between good and evil. Each strike illuminated the fierce determination in Jessica's eyes and the malevolent glee in the goblins. The storm mirrored the intensity of their battle, a clash of titans. Jessica fought harder than ever before, her movements a blur of speed and precision. Every punch, every kick was delivered with the force of her convictions. She was fighting not just for herself, but for everyone who believed in her. Each punch and kick fueled by years of anger, frustration, and a burning desire for justice. She had trained for this moment, and she wasn't going to let it slip away. The goblin might have been powerful, but Jessica's spirit was unbreakable. The goblin laughed like a maniac, his eyes glowing with a sinister light. He seemed to revel in the chaos, enjoying the pain and suffering he caused. His confidence was unnerving, but Jessica refused to be intimidated. He was playing with her, enjoying her struggle. His taunts were designed to break her spirit, but Jessica used them as fuel. Every mocking word only strengthened her resolve. She knew she couldn't let him win, but Jessica wouldn't give up. She had faced too many challenges, overcome too many obstacles to back down now. Her determination was a force of nature, and she was ready to unleash it. She had come too far to let him win. With a final surge of strength, Jessica launched herself at the goblin, ready to end his reign of terror once and for all. The fate of the city rested in her hands, and she was prepared to fight until the very end. Part 7. A risky move. As the battle continued, Jessica realized the terrifying truth. The city was in chaos, buildings crumbling, and innocent lives at stake. She had to act quickly, but the odds were against her. The goblins' forces were overwhelming, and her allies were scattered, fighting their own battles. The weight of the city's fate rested on her shoulders. The goblin wasn't just using fear gas, he had a more sinister plan. The green gas spread through the streets, causing panic and terror among the citizens. Jessica could see the fear in their eyes, and it fueled her determination. She knew she had to stop him, but how? He was absorbing it, drawing power from the city's terror. Every scream, every cry for help made him stronger. The dark energy swirled around him, making him nearly invincible. Jessica felt a pang of despair, but she quickly pushed it aside. She couldn't afford to be afraid. He was getting stronger every second. The power surge was visible, his form becoming more menacing with each passing moment. Jessica knew that if she didn't act soon, the goblin would be unstoppable. She had to find a way to turn the tide of the battle. She had to do something extreme. The usual tactics wouldn't work against an enemy like this. She needed to take a risk, a desperate gamble that could either save the city or doom it. Her mind raced as she considered her options, each one more dangerous than the last. She had to fight fire with fire. The only way to counter the goblin's power was to use her own fears against him. It was a risky move, but it was the only chance she had. She steeled herself, preparing for the drastic measure she was about to take. Using her deepest fears, she unleashed a blast of bioelectric energy, a surge of pure venom. The energy crackled around her, illuminating the night sky. It was a sight to behold, a testament to her strength and resolve. The blast hit the goblin with full force, sending shockwaves through the city. It was a dangerous move, one that could destroy her. The venom coursed through her veins, threatening to overwhelm her. But she held on, driven by the need to protect the city. She knew the risks, but she was willing to pay the price if it meant stopping the goblin. The goblin staggered back, surprised. He hadn't expected such a powerful attack. For a moment, he was vulnerable, and Jessica saw her chance. She pressed the advantage, determined to end the battle once and for all. He had underestimated her, like everyone else. But Jessica was no ordinary hero. She had faced her fears and emerged stronger. The goblin's arrogance had been his downfall, and now he was paying the price. But the victory was short. The venom blast had taken its toll on Jessica. She could feel her strength waning, her vision blurring. She had won the battle, but the war was far from over. The venom blast had weakened Jessica, leaving her open to attack. She knew she had to recover quickly, but the goblin was already regaining his strength. The fight was far from over, and Jessica had to dig deep to find the strength to continue. Part 8. Victory and Change. Just when all hope seemed lost, a figure appeared. Felicia Hardy, her eyes full of determination, jumped on the goblin, her claws out. She had chosen her side, helping Spider-Woman when she needed it most. Together, they fought as one, their combined strength too much for the goblin. With a final desperate attack, Jessica managed to defeat him, freeing the city from his terror. The nightmare was over. As the dust settled, Jessica felt different. She had faced her fears, used her power, and become stronger than ever. She wasn't the same Spider-Woman anymore. She was something more. Part 9. A New Beginning. London celebrated Spider-Woman as a hero. She had saved them from chaos, showing that even in the darkest times, hope can win. But Jessica knew her job wasn't finished. As long as there was evil in the world, she would fight it. She would protect the innocent, stand up for what's right, no matter what. She was Spider-Woman, and she was just getting started. The future was unknown, but Jessica Drew was ready. She had found her strength, her purpose, her destiny, and she would accept it. The legend of Spider-Woman was just beginning.